All right, my name is Futuru. I'm very happy to be here. And some of you probably saw me this morning. So right now I'm going to talk about a story. Not really a research about the story, but the story I was involved with. I was one part of it. So the title is, what do you want to leave behind for our community? This question mark is based on from our ex-chief, leader, in my community, in my village. So the ex-chief, he says something to the new chief, say, what do you want to leave behind for our community? Because it's kind of responsibility. Because in my village, right now, the chief and the leader, every 5 years, you have to change. And at a certain age, you can have the right to be selected to be the leader of the community. So our leader is kind of democratic election, but in certain age, okay? So just try to explain some background to you. So actually, the main topic will be the revitalization of making bark clothes. Tapa, I don't know if you know tapa, T-A-P-A? Yeah, bark clothes, tapa. And its social cultural meaning in Dolan Amis community in Southeast Taiwan. This place is where I'm from. I live in the community right now, okay? And you can see 3 elders over there. Yeah, they are the co-founder, the vanguard of revitalizing the bark clothes back to year 2000. Okay, so this grandpa, he's 91 years old now. Yeah, he is the second eldest in our village right now. His name is Banai. And he is one of those vanguard who revitalized bark clothes in our community back to the 1990s. Okay? So still now, he's still working on tapa. And actually, he got a certificate from the government, will be a living treasure of this nation, especially to honor his work and how to revitalize the bark clothes, so-called tapa. Okay. Also, this Banai, he was the one talked to the next new chief, the leader of the community, said, what do you want to leave behind for our community? Which means it's really big responsibility for the new, the chief. So we have right now, since 1990s, from 1990 to 1995, there was a chief, his name was Gunui. He passed away already. Actually, he was a great singer. So he trained our young generation to sing. And also, he was part of the members to revitalize the bark clothes. And so the next chief, called Banai, this is he. And from 1995 to 2005. So he was the chief for 10 years. During that 10 years, and the indigenous people, Amis people in our community, we tried to protest. We had a lot of protests to the government. Not only the government, but also the private enterprise, especially resort business. Because at that time, there are some resort businesses that try to build up really big scale resort in our community. But some of the indigenous people, they don't like that kind of business tour. So they have the kind of protest to the government, because the government lend the land, traditional land, to the private enterprise. So at that time, we had gone through many protests. And also, he was one of the members to revive the bark clothes. So next one will be Halu. And he was also a very good singer. Okay? So, and then 2010 to 2015, Ngayao. And he negotiated with the government to have a reception house for the whole community, built up by the government, designed by local Amis young people. Okay, so 2015 to 2020, there's another chief called, his name is Giju. And at that time, during this time, I was the general of secretary for this community. So we keep negotiating with the government to take back the right of management of the land, traditional territory, the land. So right now we have a social enterprise called Adolan Style. In our community, we hire over 13 young men. And probably 8 to 9, maybe 8 persons from our community. But we have 5 young people. It's kind of headhunting from urban area. They are not indigenous people, but they got talents. And they want to live in the indigenous community, and they want to learn the culture, the language, the history. So we actually in our community, we welcome those people who want to be friends, to be company with the indigenous people, just like the United States. Okay, not funny. United States, they also welcome the whole world, from the whole world, right? Yeah, they absorb the talents from the whole world. Yeah, so our community is trying to do the same things, similar things. Okay, so right now we have new chief Akira, and he's also a very good singer. Actually, he got a award of Golden Melody in Taiwan. It's really, really popular, very important musical award in Taiwan, Golden Melody. So right now, his job is trying to do some marine protection area. I'm the project leader right now. So I'm trying to negotiate with the government and also commercial fishermen, and try to protect our traditional marine territory. And that would be, if we success, that will be the very first one managed by indigenous community and designed by indigenous people as a marine protection area. So as you can see, this is the product of the barcodes. It's a purse, right? It's a bag. Okay, and this is how we do the, knocking the tapa, knocking the barcodes to get rid of the skin of the tree, and tapping it, knocking it, become barcodes. Then you can make this, right? And right now we have indigenous artists. Actually, she graduated from our university, the department chair is here. Yeah, Professor Zhuo. Yeah, and from her department, because it's our art industry department, and this artist, she graduated from our university, and when she was in the third year, 第三年, the third year of her undergraduate training, she left the university temporarily for 1 year to learn how to make barcodes. From whom? From Panay, the ex-chief. So after she learned the skill to make barcodes, and she found out it's really good material for art, for making art. Because as you know, the tapa in Polynesia, for example, Hawaii, not only Hawaii, but also Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, they all keep the barcodes art very well, not only traditionally, but also modern art or fine art. Okay? So if you went to Hawaii or Samoa or Fiji, you can buy many, many art products in those areas as because traditionally the barcodes represent some symbolic meaning, especially to those people who has certain social position. I mean, in the hierarchy system, they have the higher social position or social rank, then you will have the bark clothes or tapa as symbol to represent your position. That's traditionally in Polynesia. And how about Micronesia? Do you know any record of bark clothes in Guam? Banana leaf. Yeah, actually in Taiwan was also a certain tribe, Gavalan. Yeah, but we have a certain tribe of Gavalan. They also use banana to weave, yeah, to make a bag, to make a cloth. But how about tapa? Tapping. Actually, yes, you do have, but the record the document is really rare. As I know, there is one document, historical document wrote by a priest, Catholic priest, during the 17th century. There's a document explain how Chamorro people, especially for the funeral, the tapa as the very important object or material to cover the dead body as a symbol to represent some social position. But actually, this document was recorded by the Society of Jesus, the Spanish church, the Catholic church. Yeah, I found out there's one document talking about this kind of story. But right now in Micronesia, probably it's just disappeared. Actually, in Taiwan, we had gone through similar context, similar situation. I will talk about the story later. But as you know, there is a hypothesis or theory that Austronesian-speaking people, including Taiwan, Micronesia, Polynesia, and Melanesia, and also Madagascar, and also Rapa Nui. Rapa Nui is, we used to say, Easter Island. But actually, they call themselves Rapa Nui. And also Aotearoa, which is New Zealand. But in Maori language, they call themselves Aotearoa, which cloud in the mountains, something like that. And in this broad region, and there is a research team. They're trying to prove that besides archaeological evidence, linguistic evidence, is there any other evidence that we can prove that where was the Austronesian people came from? So they had a hypothesis that when you migrated, when you move to your, for example, nowadays, if you want to move from this house to another house, or maybe from this country to another country, what would you bring with you? He said money. Okay, try to imagine that 5,000 years ago. What would you bring with you? Food. Yeah, food. So you can see we bring hehe. Hehe is chicken, right? Yeah, hehe. And babui, the pig. And what else? Taro, right? So you can see there are so many culture, ritual, something similar, so similar to each other's in Austronesian area. Okay, what else except for food? Cloth, right? Okay, so if you want to bring a cloth, what kind of material you need to bring? Right? Because 5,000 years ago, we don't have factory. Everyone just make the clothes by themselves, right? Maybe the specialist in the family or in the community who can do the best job to make the clothes, right? So the material. So maybe banana. Not only clothes, but also food. The best. And what else? So there are a team of scientists, they found out there are so many barcodes around in the, Austronesian speaking region, area. They found that kind of cultural elements. Yeah, in traditionally, those people, they wear the barcodes as a symbol to represent their social status. So what kind of plant what kind of material to make that kind of so-called barcodes? So in Taiwan, not only in Taiwan but also in Southeast Asia, but also in Polynesia, Melanesia, they use a certain trees. The tree is paper mulberry tree. 构树 in Chinese. Paper mulberry trees. And so they try to find out if our ancestors brought the plant from this island to another island, so the plant must have some connection, especially genetic connection, right? So they try to prove that kind of hypothesis. So they collected so many samples around the Austronesian area. And it's a scientific thesis, a paper, research paper. And in the end, the result, their conclusion is that, yes, most of the paper mulberry tree came from Taiwan. So not only the language, not only the archaeological evidence, but also the genetic research from the paper mulberry tree. Okay. So that's why the evidence support this kind of hypothesis. So out of Taiwan hypothesis, or we can say express trend hypothesis, all the way from this region, from this area, all the way very fast to spread out. Austronesian people is only one, people in the world spread so fast, so quick, without any violence. For example, the British, the Dutch, Spanish, they conquer the whole world by military. But the Austronesian people, no, by seafaring, by exploring the new world. Very interesting. So that remind me, last night in the National Taiwan Day, the party. So I don't know if you remember the three national lesson, right? Pray in the first one is Taiwan's national lesson, very serious. And secondly, the national lesson of United States, very serious. But the third one in Guam, enjoy, peaceful. That's the philosophy we have to chase. That's the philosophy we have to explore the world without any violence. So even from the national anthem, then you can find out this kind of differently from different culture. This is new General Secretary. My next turn. Yeah, he's also Futuru. His name is also Futuru. He's my younger brother. Because in my village, I have to explain that in Amis people, in Amis culture, or maybe some other place, they will claim themselves Banza. Banza people or Amis people. Traditionally, we have so-called traditional age organization. So in my community, every 5 years will be one age set. The members, we have similar ages in a range in between 5 years. So the members, many basically formed by the boys originally, and these boys will be lifelong brothers. And their wives will be lifelong sisters, all the way to the heaven. Okay, so that's the traditional social organization of Amis community. So Taiwan indigenous peoples belong to the Austronesian language family, as you know, and the population and Korean indigenous people occupy merely only 2.5, I remember, in Taiwan right now. So actually, Taiwan indigenous people are facing a so-called settler colonialism area, just like Maori people in New Zealand, and native Hawaiian in Hawaii, and Aborigines in Australia, and also First Nation in Canada. Because of the dominant society, basically by white people or European or Chinese, okay? So it's kind of settler colonial area. And I think Professor Yo-Yo, she mentioned about we have, 16 recognized by the government, 16 indigenous ethnic groups, officially recognized by the government. But actually, in practically, we actually have more than 16. So you can see Amis, Ataya, Paiwan, Bunun, Binuyumayam, Lukai, Tso, Saishat, Yami, Sao, Kavalan, Telugu, Kavalan. The whiskey, right? But ironically, the whiskey doesn't belong to the indigenous people. Actually, right now, you have to apply for the certificate from the indigenous community if you want to use the name of the ethnic name to be the brand. Because we had the law right now. Maybe they built up before the law. Maybe. So sorry, when you see the whiskey Kavalan, it's Kavalan, but it's whiskey, not indigenous people. Okay. And Telugu, Sakiraya, Setik, Lalua, and Kanaganafu, so 16. Okay. So historically, Austronesian speaking groups in Taiwan had been classified into two categories since the Qing Dynasty. I believe that Salidang, this morning, he talked about mountain people and ocean people. It's actually based on that kind of concept, but not really that kind of concept. But since Qing Dynasty, they try to separate the indigenous people as plain Aborigines and the mountain Aborigines. Continue into the Japanese era. And the plains Aborigines were considered too synergized. And so they don't really recognize as an indigenous group right now in Taiwan officially. But right now, there are many activists that try to negotiate with the government, not only Taiwan government, but also United Nations to fight for their identity. Okay. So this is a barcode in Taiwan. You can see the top up. These are made by stone. So you can see there are some. I'm not sure if you can see it clearly. Can you see this? Just like your hammer, right? Oh, that's what to help you to knock the bark, the tree, the skin, and cause less damages. Okay. So barcodes in Taiwan, it's kind of pervasive cultural trait among Austronesian society, except Micronesia right now. But actually, based on the document, we do believe there was barcodes or tapa culture in Micronesia. I don't know, maybe Spanish don't like tapa? I don't know. But how, just why, I don't know. Because there's no one to research why Micronesia abandoned tapa, barcodes, maybe since 17th century or 18th century. Okay. And sorry, probably too much zero. I said, something wrong, just like I'm drunk, or maybe I made a mistake. Okay, then I made a mistake, now I'm drunk. Okay, it's 4,000 to 6,000 years ago, there was an archaeological site or archaeological culture we call 大崩坑 culture. and we found there are so many stone bark beetle, just like this. Okay, and stone bark crow's beetle found in the vicinity of Dulan. That's my community. Okay, a lot. In my community, sometimes I went up to the farm, and in the mountain area, just dig the dirt, and you find some pottery. You find some stone, and stone arrow. You can find so many, ancestors, tools from ancestors. Oh, right now we're going to talk about a story right now. So, the bark crows in Dulan, it's my village. In Chinese, we say Dulan, but the indigenous language we call Dulan. It's actually Dulan, which means stone piles, because the ancestors, when they move into this area, there are too many stones underground. If they want to make farm, they want to farm in gardening, they have to remove the stone as a stone piles. So there are so many stone piles as a landscape in the village. So this village was called Dulan, which means stone pile. And with the revitalization since the 1990s, the chief in our language is Kakitaan. Kita, which means us, everyone. Ka, which the big, very important. An, which means the location, or the position. So the biggest one, everybody here, that's us, Kita. That will be the chief. Okay, so that's the linguistic explanation. So the chief's duty and the responsibility to revitalize the bark crows. And there were 3 elders. They were in the same age grade. They were in the same. Only one survived right now. Not really survived, still alive. Still alive. And the other 2 already passed away. So you can see the 3 founders perform in front of the presidential hall of Taiwan in 2003, wearing the bark crows made by themselves. Okay. So they belong to the same age grade. As I told you, the age grade system, it's a whole life, brotherhood. So they're just like brothers. So they for example, sometimes I have problem with my wife. I always go to my age mate. I call age mate. So if my age mate, he has some problem with his wife or his family, he always come to my house. That's why every night my house plenty of my age mates. Everyone got problem with their wives. So every night I have to drink a lot of whiskey, including Kavalan. Okay, so according to their memory about, when people get together, we talk and chat and drinking and discussing, and then they had common memory that, hey, I remember my grandfather, he wore the cloth, and we could not find it anymore. What is that? Yeah, I remember. You can imagine that kind of situation when we have a chat in front of the house and drink and laugh, and some memories raise up. And that's the anthropologists do. Anthropologists always sit along with them and drink and laugh and note. Okay, so they found out their memory about seeing their grandfathers wearing and making bark crows. But nobody knows how to do it because it's disappeared already. It's gone. No more. Probably since the late 19th century, 100 years ago, disappeared. Okay, so based on their memory, they just guessed why disappeared, the bark crows, why disappeared. And when we found out the documents, we found out that after 1874, there was a very critical and important historical event or incident we call 牡丹社 incident. After that, so many Han Chinese migrated from the west of Taiwan to east part of Taiwan, including Taidong and Hualien County. So that's why so many Han Chinese settlers, they moved from the west to the east, and they brought so many commercial products, including cloth. So since then, the cloth were introduced to the east part. But actually, much early before that, maybe in the 1850s or maybe 40s, there were some businessmen. They already sell from the south, from Tainan, actually from Tainan. They sell all the way to the east. How do we know? The indigenous people, they don't have, tax. They don't have text. So it's kind of oral memory. And also the age grade system. Every age grade will be named after the really important historical event. For example, my age grade is Lagayagai. In English, the bridge. So we are the bridge team. Bridge. Because when we grew up about 18 to 23 years old, there was a very important bridge was built up in Taidong County. So try to in memory of that kind of historical event. So our age group was named after the bridge. So we are the bridge. So as an anthropologist, we are also the bridge. The bridge between different cultures and societies. So that's I always think that I'm the chosen people by God. Is there anyone haven't got COVID right now, right here? Just one? Oh, you are also the God chosen people, like me. So why disappear? Probably because of the encounter with Han Chinese. The indigenous people were easier to get the cloth, and you don't have to too trouble to make the bar cloth. Okay. And also there was a hypothesis that if you wear the bar clothes, which represents probably kind of barbarians, in other cultures, okay. So these three old elders, every night they always had the problem with their wife. No. Their wives participate with them. 6 of them every night discuss and try different kind of plants because they didn't even know which kind of plants they have to use. Okay, so they try different kind of plants, different kinds of trees. Eventually, they found out there are 2 trees can make bar clothes. Okay, so try and error, try many times. So in the first time, they tried the ficus. I don't know if you know the ficus. I don't know how to say it in English. Is it a ficus? Yeah. Yeah, sort of. And then the paper mulberry. Okay. Oh, this is the ficus. Red fruit fig tree? I'm not sure. No, 榕树 in 雀榕 in Chinese is 雀榕. Ficus. And this is, sometimes just the seed will carried by the birds, the shit of the birds. Yeah, right? Yeah. So sometimes in the rooftop, the ficus will be grow up. Right. So actually, as you can see this is much harder. It's our collection in our university, our center. We brought it all the way from Taidong, from Taiwan, to here. Now this guy, he's from here, from Guam. And we found out he's much stronger than ours. Different size, even taller and even. So it's kind of too fit for this guy. But in Taiwan, it's perfectly fit. But it's too tight sometimes. So it's American size. This is American size L. It's Asian size medium. That's the problem. Okay. So this is the barcodes made by the three elders. And so you can see this material is really hard. See? So actually, it's made by the ficus first. If you made by the paper mulberry trees, it will be really soft. Even you can be the wedding dress. I mean, for the bride. So at that time, you can see that in the earlier, around year 2000, this made by the ficus. So it's kind of just an armor, fighter ammo. And they wear the hat made by themselves, made by the barcodes. So eventually they found out there are a certain trees. Actually, we made barcodes that would be paper mulberry trees. Okay? Actually, I believe in Guam you do have. Sometimes the deers or the goat, they like to eat this kind of leaf. I don't know if you can identify what kind of trees. Maybe these 2 days I'll try to find one. Yeah. I made a barcode maybe 300 years ago. And this is the paper mulberry leaf in Taiwan. Okay. There are different kind of paper mulberry trees. Okay, right now I'm going to talk about the process to make a paper mulberry tree. It's easy, but it needs patience. And it's kind of meditation, I believe. Every time when I beat the barcodes, it's kind of process of meditation. Especially, I have problem with my lover sometimes, like that, okay? Or with problem with my family. It's kind of meditation. Because you have to repeat and smoothly and gently for a long, long time. Okay, so the first step, pray before taking the tree. This is kind of indigenous will do, right? To pray for the spirit from the trees, from the forest, from the mountain. I'm sorry, I have to take the tree away. And I have to tell you, please bless us, give us power, something like that. And then when they're back home, scrape off the epidermis, the skins. Okay? And the third step, beat the tree to remove the bark. Okay, let me show you the. You see, it's kind of meditation, right? When you pull it out, wow. So cut it and try to beat it from a thick bark, the skin, to the thin skin, to be the cause. Okay? So it takes time. So sometimes their wives, so the men, they went to the mountain area and then went to the forest to take the tree. They take out the skin, and their wives just beat up the bark to be the cause. So eventually they got really good couples. Yeah, the relationship became better. Try to do that, Carlos. Okay, the fourth step, keep beating the bark to soften it. And then the fifth step, scrape off the thick fibers. And the sixth step, making products. So when you keep beating the bark to make a cloth, and then you can make a product. For example, hat and the clothes. So in the beginning, they always make the hat. Okay. And then, done. Everybody is happy, wearing the bark clothes. Yeah. So traditionally, what is the purpose for the bark clothes in Taiwanese indigenous people, especially Amis people? According to their saying, the elders, they remember the bark clothes is hunting custom. Why? Why? Just guess. Why? Oh, okay, yeah, very strong, very, hard. So you can prevent from the grave, prevent from some, plants from the forest. There's another reason. Yeah, this is the main reason. Yes, true. But there's another reason. I'm just surprised that, wow, these Chamorro people can speak very good Mandarin.
I lived in Taiwan for 10 years.
So you are Chamorro people? Wow, I thought you were Bunong. Oh, yeah, no wonder, that's like brothers. So yeah, second reason. Is there anyone can guess? We do have still have the gift, right?
The fiber?
No, you're from Taiwan. Try to guess. Why? To what?
Camouflage, to blend in.
To blend in the environment? Sort of, but not really, specific. Sort of. Very close. But not visually. Try to guess it, not visually. Yeah, you have to fit in the environment, but it's not visually. Yes, who said? Yeah, smells. So it would prevent your human smell. So when you are in the forest, you are a tree. You wear the skin of the tree to pretend to be the tree, and then you can hunt. Because the animals, they always know where the humans are, especially from the smell. So if the wind blows this way, this direction, so if the human hide in the bush to try to hunt the animals, try to get the games, and the animal will smell your smell. Especially don't wash yourself. Or maybe you have perfume. So these three of us, young people, are not young anymore anyway. This is my elder brother, my elder age set. And he's my younger age set. He's a very popular indigenous singer right now in Taiwan. We are going to have Amis Music Festival from tomorrow, but I was not there in my village. Around 10,000 tourists will come to my village. Okay. So you can see that it's a barcode to dress like this, just like a representation of traditional indigenous people. Okay? And this is me. Yeah. So right now it becomes a ritual dress, especially for the ritual for praying raining, or maybe praying for the ancestors. You have something to tell the ancestors. Okay? And it becomes a symbol of traditions. For example, this young lady, she is very famous, another indigenous army singer, and it's kind of rock style, a rock star, and heavy metal style indigenous songs. They have a band, and they got the Golden Melody Award around 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. I'm not sure about that. But 3 years, maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, the band they got the Golden Melody Award, and when they step on the stage, as you can see, she actually was wearing the barcodes. So the barcodes from this heart, just like armor, become the dress. I hope someday in our Taiwan National Day we can dress like this, not this. Or tight. Yeah, it's a representation of indigenous culture. So this superstar, she borrowed the barcodes dress from the Banai, from the ex-chief of our community, to get on stage to receive the Golden Melody Award. So not only the cultural identity, but also the artwork. As I said, art. The young lady, Lin Rongyi, I don't know her Amis name.
Lume.
Oh, Lume. Yeah, her Amis name is Lume. In Chinese name is Lin Rongyi. She's a famous artist right now. Mainly create, her art based on the barcodes. So, and also, right now, the barcodes is also a cultural heritage and revitalized because it disappeared for over 100 years before. But then, something differently, it come back. Okay, as for the so-called revitalized the traditions, everyone now believes that Austronesian people migrate, or maybe originally came from Taiwan. But most of the Taiwan indigenous people, they don't know how to sail right now. They forgot. Just like some of Polynesians before 1970s, they also didn't know how to sail. So they hired someone from Micronesia, right? Satoa Ato? Sarawak Ato. Yeah. So to teach the navigation skill, the technology. So they revitalized. So right now we have Polynesian Voyaging Society. Now we have Hokulea, the boat, the canoe, the sail all around the world. Right now they are in San Francisco. Maybe 2 years later they are coming to Taiwan. Yeah, I heard about that story. And true, in Taiwan we also forgot the barcodes. Maybe disappeared for 100 years. But based on the memory, based on the kind of cooperation with each other, they revitalize the disappearing heritage to make it vividly. So I believe in Taiwan, Taiwanese indigenous people can also revitalize the navigation, to revitalize the voyaging. We can learn a lot from Micronesia, especially Guam and Palau. Just like this area still have that kind of tradition, seafaring technology. Okay, so based on this example, I'm kind of confident on this. So it will become a future effort, a future things we can work together. Thank you very much.